Welcome to the Alaskan Journey podcast. My name is Jamin Gurker. I'm your first friend in Alaska, and luckily for you, I'm also an associate real estate broker in South Central Alaska. And the purpose of this podcast is to really give you guys a feel for what it's like living in Alaska from the people who actually do live here. And luckily today, I've got a couple of my friends, Steph and Dan, who are going to be joining us and talking about what their experience has been like living up here so far. So, guys, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So let's go and just start with this then. Where did you guys live before moving to Alaska?
Where do you want to start?
Where do we begin?
Me first.
Go ahead.
So I grew up in Washington State, Skagit County, and that's where Steph and I met. That was where I lived my entire life. Sedro-Woolley, Washington, Skagit County, in Concrete, Washington, a small town. And then we moved to the Midwest, to Wisconsin for work. We were there for 3 years, and then we moved up here. So that's the short story.
Very nice. So what got you guys thinking about moving to Alaska?
Moving to Wisconsin. Being in the Midwest and being away from nature on a different level, I would call it. So I was born and raised in California and in the Central Valley there. So little farm town, not a ton of nature there, but the heat of the valley in the summertime, we'd take day trips and go to the coast or go see the sequoias, go to Yosemite, and fell in love with trees. And so when I moved to Washington State, I was like, this is where I meant to be. Trees, ocean, everything I could ever want and need. My little Disney princess forest fairy self was very happy there. So going to Wisconsin, the Midwest, was pretty hard for both of us. Not having ocean, not having mountains, we became pretty bored.
I mean, you're close to the Great Lakes, so I mean that's
yeah, but
something.
It's like I don't know.
Drive,
We're
though.
not big enough
hard.
drinkers to really enjoy the Midwest. I think is what it kind of came down to. It's like, oh, we're gonna go sit on a boat and drink, or like hunting is sitting in a tree stand and drinking, and like we want to like have a little bit of suffering.
Yeah, I guess that's the reason like some of the best beers like come from the Midwest. I guess that's really no accident.
Yeah, they know what they're doing. Yeah, so we just knew that was something important to us and important in raising our children and wanting them to have connection to the land and just really feeling humble and where we live and enjoying the outdoors. So here we are.
Yeah, it's been a big adventure. I think just the process of getting to the point of moving, us having 4 kids between the ages of 11 and 6 years old. The youngest just turned 6 in April. That's a big thing, right? Steph and I are in our 30s. We got 4 kids that are young. You don't want to uproot them. We don't want to disrupt their lives in a negative way. Our goal is to keep our family tight and stable and all the right things so everybody does well. But living where we were, how Steph and I enjoy life is being outside and doing experiences. And we want that connection point with our kids. We want our kids to enjoy that. So we just felt that where we live didn't provide that. There is the go up north, is what everybody calls it, in Minnesota and Wisconsin, and go up to Boundary Waters canoe area, the National Forest up there, which is beautiful. There's a lot of lakes and a lot of pine trees, spruce, all of that, but there's no mountains. And in Alaska and the Pacific Northwest, you're so blessed to have beautiful, clean spring water and glaciers and wild blueberries growing up in the Alpine, and all these experiences that are irreplaceable. And me growing up in Skagit County in the North Cascades, backpacking in the North Cascades, hunting in the North Cascades, fishing for salmon in the Skagit River as a young boy is a big part of me growing up. And we really just wanted to share those experiences with our family. So we did a big switcheroo, more me, where I needed to change my how I showed up as dad and spouse, and go, you know what? We need to not focus on career as much, switch it, and be in a place where we can provide these experiences as a family and let work take care of itself. So the end of 23, I was doing some consulting work in Texas, North Carolina, and Tennessee, and I was gone quite a bit. And I don't know, October 2023, I think. October. Like, I contacted you. I'm like, hey, we're going to come up. And I was listening to this podcast at that time. We're doing all sorts of YouTube. We're looking at like Sitka and every community that we could with the YouTube channel, and decided, it's all elderly people on cruise ships. So we decided we needed to go up there. So we came up to the Matsu Valley in Anchorage in October of 23. We spent a week. Just wanted to come during the off season, so it wasn't all touristy. Mm-hmm. We already knew that it was going to be beautiful in the summertime, so we wanted to come when it was not beautiful. We'd rephrase that. Not sunny.
How bad is it really? And can we hang?
And just get to meet the locals. Like, we cared about building community, having people with like-minded interest, and getting to know folks. So came up in October, stayed for a week, came back up in November of 23, went to Seward in the Kenai Peninsula for about a week. Just really tried to mingle with people at coffee shops, a pub, whatever. And then summer of 24, we went and visited Steph's cousin in Juno. And then I have a cousin in Haines, Alaska. So we spent time in Juno, took the ferry up, and spent time in Haines. And throughout the whole time, we just kind of had I feel like we're being called to move, and we really need to figure out where we're going to move to.
And where can we see ourselves raising our kids?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can.
That was, yeah. Here we are. I mean, we spent a lot of time. It's funny because we heard a lot of, who were we talking to? We had a friend we made in Wisconsin that went to college with a buddy that lives in Juno, and connected with him, talked to him on the phone a few times, and he was like, we just sold everything and moved out here. And hearing that, I'm like, oh, yes, that is the dream, man. Like, spontaneity, just going for it. We had this idea that we wanted to be here, but like, is it right? Do we? I've always been very spontaneous, but like, having 4 kids, I'm not allowed to be as spontaneous. We just try to be a lot more intentional.
Yeah, it's the price tag for being a lot more spontaneous goes up when you have more kids in tow.
Yeah, right. The truth.
Right.
That's a good way to.
Yeah.
And we balance each other that way, where I'm more, I don't know what you want to call it.
Planned.
I'm a planner. More structured in that way. Not to say that stuff's not structured, but just I'm a look a year ahead, look a 2 year ahead kind of guy with kind of everything. And so when it comes to like this big move, I'm planning like every step, making sure I understand every little last detail with crossing the border, and what trailer do I buy? Do I need a truck? And does the Wagoneer, can it haul however many pounds? And
I'd be like, hopefully it works. works.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll work, or we're gonna break down and it's gonna be terrible. Like it's.
Will it be terrible though? Like it's an adventure, no matter which way you cut it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it worked out.
But talk about like your schooling. It's a big part of this too.
I'm going to school, so that's exactly. We were like, okay, where do we go? Where do we live? What place do we like? What is it like in the off season? Is this too quiet? Is it too small? Is it too far away from the airport if we want to visit family? All these things, right? How are the schools? We were visiting the elementary schools and getting tours and stuff, which was awesome that people were like, oh yeah, come on in, let's show you around. So we loved a lot of places. And there were few places that we were like, oh heck no, this one would not work. And what was really cool is seeing how different every area and every town looks, and temperament and weather and all these things was so cool to see. So you start to kind of picture yourself living there, right? Like, is this where our kids are going? Can I see my kids running through the town and being safe? Can I say, oh yeah, go run over to the playground and feel okay with that? So, but in that way, we weren't coming and being in vacation mode and really just enjoying Alaska. So it put more pressure on it, which made it challenging in some ways. And then I've been going to school, and I got into University of Anchorage. So we're like, oh, okay, well, that limits everything, because we loved Seward, but that's 2.5 hours. And if I'm going to school and need to be here 3 to 5 times a week, we're not doing that. So kind of limited where we could see ourselves being. We looked at Eagle River for a long time, just proximity-wise to Anchorage and being able to get to the airport. But then, the biggest thing for us is we don't want to keep moving the kids. We don't want to keep moving them a billion times. And we want them to feel settled and feel confident in having friend groups and just succeeding, and having stability for them is everything. And we love having a hobby farm and chickens, and we raised pigs in Washington and all of those things.
I think you guys are the first ones I've ever heard say they've raised pigs. Lots of chicken people.
Oh, really?
Not a whole lot of pig raisers though.
Yeah, we're badasses. I asked for a cow for Christmas. Like that's the dream. So as far as having land and being able to do all of those things, Palmer became very obvious to us, and we just. Eagle River felt like might be too city for us. And that was a big thing about the Midwest, too, is you hear people say, like, oh, once you live in Alaska, you can't live anywhere else. I kind of feel that way from living in Washington. So once we went to the Midwest, I was like, there's so much noise. There's just electricity everywhere, this constant buzz where I can't run into the woods and feel like, okay, oh, no more stress. I am insignificant. I am a speck of dust on this earth, and none of my worries actually matter. I wasn't able to get that in the Midwest. And so
that's a big part of your self-care.
Huge. Huge.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to make sure that we were in a place that I can run into the forest. I can go hiking. We can just escape a little bit and not feel like this city, So Palmer just kind of, I feel like everything's been throwing a dart, blindfolded, backwards, left-handed, whatever. But it worked out. And we just have to trust that whatever doors open for us are meant to be. And that's the one that opened, and we walked through, and man, so far so good. It's been awesome, really.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Truly, yeah.
Outstanding. Well, you guys mentioned Seward. Like, what other Eagle River? Were there other communities you guys were considering as well?
Yeah, I really liked Juno. I thought Juno was sweet. I loved, not every place in Alaska, not every town has a downtown. and we're foodies. We love going
Yeah.
out to eat too, and
Yep.
being able to have date nights and fun things to do in town as well as nature. That fine balance, right? Without being too busy. So Juno was cool. We did go to Juno in the summertime, so it was like cruise ship,
Yeah,
cruise,
just
like
tourist central. Yeah.
crazy.
But
The North
North Juno was nice.
North Juno is awesome. Much
Like
more.
Auk Bay, I think that's what it's called.
Yes. Yeah.
That was a great area.
It was cool.
Yeah.
I did like a yoga class, and right next door was a brewery, so that was kind of neat.
She did
And
yoga,
then-
had a beer, and looked at the ocean. It was pretty sweet.
Yeah,
Everybody won.
exactly. Exactly. There were like bears, and we went out to the whatever that nature center was and saw the glacier, and it's just quieter. Felt like you have access to more of a small city, just a little town, and how charming it was.
Yeah, that. I mean, I have a brother that lived in Juneau for a
Okay.
number of years, and he said like the main issue with Juneau, beautiful stuff to do, but it takes you about 30 minutes to get through everything, and it's like, okay, now what? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, you run out of. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I'm okay with that. If I have like, I'll just go for a hike. I'll just be one with the trees, and I'm good. And you have the ocean, so that's sweet too. But you are landlocked, so would we feel trapped? You know, if we wanted to leave, and we're like, oh, but weather doesn't permit it, so now you're stuck. Too bad. And one of the things that I met up with my cousin when I was there, and she was expressing that they closed down a lot of the restaurants and shops in the wintertime. And in the summertime, they're so overrun with tourists that wait times for getting in anywhere is a
yeah.
thing. And so they
The
were trying
locals
to
were kinda-
petition, right?
The locals wanted access to their downtown
Yeah.
for date nights, basically. It's like no tourists on like 2 days of the week, just
Right.
so we can also enjoy
that's
the town. That's what it seemed like.
It's like, do you guys not realize what's keeping your town solvent?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
okay.
But if you're living in Juneau, that's why like North Juneau's good. That's why
Yeah.
Auk Bay and all that, and that was pretty. I think if we were, for us, it came down to where do we have to live? Where are we going to live? Where I can get employment as a refrigeration HVAC union technician? Where can Steph be able to continue her education? And where can we get the balance of small town community with access to a nice downtown? We are foodies. It's part of our it's one of our bonding mechanisms between
I
us.
love language.
And
Food.
We take our kids out. So where do you find the balance? And really just Palmer seemed like the right fit, at least for this chapter we're in for a while. But if we were to live in a Juneau, I think we would have enjoyed that. But we definitely have to have a boat.
Yeah.
Definitely have to get on the ocean and explore and do that. Because I didn't want to be like, we're not going to like being landlocked. We're not.
Yeah.
Haynes, you have road access, which is great, but that community to us for our kids was like one thing I did a lot of, and as you know, Jamin, is I did all of the homework of looking up like the 5-year master plan for Seward, Haynes, Sitka, Homer.
Not much of a plan for some of those communities, huh?
Yeah, and a majority of them, the population's aging out. The majority of them, the generation ahead of Steph and I, are aging out. Industry there's not either the town board or the government or whoever it is, they just want to keep it small and quiet and happy for an aging generation, and are not allowing businesses to come in or promoting like industry so that young families can support themselves and raise a family there. And so it's like this weird, I could see these beautiful communities. Land might cost a lot less in 10 years in like a Wrangell or a Petersburg or something like that because the population is going to drop.
Yeah,
So,
and it's interesting once because I mean you can understand the impulse of wanting to keep it the way it is, but also just as a member of a community, you have to know, hey, there's no scenario where it stays this same way
Right.
forever. Like,
yeah.
have to think ahead a little bit and think, okay, well, development and growth is going to happen because I don't know. I'll just pick a town. This is Seward. It's beautiful. Good location. People are going to move here. We're going to grow. How are we going to do this in a way that, still fits everyone's needs as best we can?
Yeah.
There was one post a little while ago. It was some cruise line. They made this big announcement on Facebook that they were creating, I think it was like a deeper harbor or like larger cruise ships were now able to come into Seward. And the comment section on that Facebook post turned into one giant town hall meeting. Like it was so entertaining.
Yeah.
But I mean that discussion happens like in every one of these small towns where it's like, hey, we want to stay small, but it's that give and take between these two impulses of we're going to grow, let's do this in a good way, and no, we want to keep this as small as possible. We want to be the last immigrants that came into this town. We want to shut the door behind us.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and valid concerns, right? Like you want to preserve what you love about the place that you move, and you don't want to see it turn into a homeless camp or crazy city and not able to do or feel safe. I think is a huge one, especially for families, right? That was a concern for me and Juno. Like when the cruise ships come in and it's summertime, I'm not going to feel comfortable just letting the kids go on down to the park with a bunch of strangers that can just leave tomorrow and we don't know where to find them. So, that was a big thing. We also, I really liked Homer. I thought Homer was really cool, but it felt so far away. So far away.
Yeah.
But like the Spit was really cool. That was one of the first places that the school let us in and gave us a tour. And just the community seemed really cool. They also don't really have a downtown, right? Like, and we're both from very small towns that have like the parades and all these community events and things. And I'm sure they do, right?
Yeah.
Do they?
Not in the way you're thinking of, though.
Yeah. I don't know. But
And the access, we wanted access to mountains like right there. And that was a hard thing for you. You're like, wait, I got to take a boat across whatever that channel is.
Right.
Yeah.
And to go on like a cool hike, like an actual like mountain hike. There's plenty of cross-country skiing. There's plenty of like easy hikes. But if you want to do a 3 or 4 day backpacking trip and go fly fishing in an alpine lake, you got to cross that body of water on a ferry and go do that, which for some people, maybe that's fine. But we wanted it right there at our fingertips.
But even now, being in Palmer, like we did this weekend, Sunday, we just did a day trip down to Seward, and we're like, oh, we just love it here so much. Like, just feels even more like, oh, I am part of the earth. I can just like frolic and play, and I don't even care that it's raining. Like, we don't have that same feeling in Palmer. So we got to a point where we just have to, what checks the most boxes, and what makes the most sense for us, and what is a place that we can just get the kids through their school years, their younger school years, and provide stability for them for an extended period of time, rather than, well, we'll be here for 2 years and then figure it out from there. So
yeah, and I think that's probably the best way to look at it, of just saying, hey, let's check as many boxes as we can for this time period, because one of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten was you can have anything you want, you can't have everything that you want. So it's like, oh, okay, so there's going to be give and take regardless, whatever place it is that you're looking at.
For sure.
Like, I live in Eagle River, and not a huge fan of like some of these louder concerts.
Sure.
Had for the longest time, because a couple blocks away, and it's 11 o'clock at night, and I got people who want to sleep. So
Yeah.
there's give and take with everywhere. But no, I think that's really good. So it sounds like for you guys, the decision to move here, it sounds like it wasn't, Steph, you kind of talked about kind of being spontaneous and doing stuff kind of on the spur of the moment. It sounds like this is something that kind of rolled out as kind of a process for a couple of years for you guys. What did your families and friends think when you told them you were going to be moving to Alaska? Was that a surprise for them? Do they think that's kind of on brand for you guys, or how did that go?
I think my family is never surprised by my antics. But yeah, they definitely think we're crazy. I think not crazy, like that's a stupid idea or anything like that, but like, are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure it's smart to move the kids again? And all these things that, at a certain point, I'm like, I need to stop talking to people about this and just do it, because you're not saying anything to me that I'm not considering myself. And these are things that we are thinking of. And at the end of the day, what it really came down to is we know we don't want to be in the Midwest. We don't feel like we belong here. And if we're going to move, it's going to get harder the longer we wait. So our 11-year-old is going to be in middle school next year.
Yeah.
And she's going to continue to be more, she's going to have more a harder time, the older she
Plugging
gets
in.
specifically. The younger kids are a little more adaptable. And everyone was really starting to get in their
groove
in the Midwest and getting their little friend groups and stuff. And so that's a challenge, and that's something you have to take into consideration as a parent, and you don't want to break your kids' hearts or like really rock their world too much. And so the longer we wait, the harder it's going to be, Middle
and we
school's a
wanted
tough
to
time, so
that's why, it all kind of came to head. Well, back to your question, Jamin, what did people think? I thought it was hilarious. People are going, are you serious? It's so cold up there. We get that all the time. We'd be at church. We'd be talking to people like,
It's
we're going to go
-20.
visit. We're looking at like moving up there, all these things. Wisconsin and Minnesota get cold.
Yeah.
Like -10, -20,
Yeah.
0, and it doesn't get that cold in the Anchorage area.
And that's something that I kind of have to like unpack for a lot of people. Is it's like Alaska has an undeserved reputation of being the top shelf coldest place in all of the U.S., which might be true if you're looking at like Fairbanks and like the far like slope.
Yeah.
Like, not in South Central Alaska though. Like usually if you're coming in from Wisconsin, Minnesota, like, it's not going to feel Miami, but it's going to feel probably as or warmer
Without
what
a
you're
doubt.
used to. Yeah.
And so that was a thing. People are like, oh man, you're like moving to another continent. It's so far away. But then I go, dude, Delta Companion Fare. You can do direct from Minneapolis St. Paul Airport to Anchorage and Juno, by the way. You just got to take a connection flight in Seattle. It's not as bad as you think. But at the same time, and I'm sure Alaskans would appreciate, it's nice to have that reputation.
Yeah, totally.
Because you're like, keep out the riffraff. Just it is really cold here. It is hard to get here. We are on another continent.
Right. There's bears around every corner.
It's super dangerous. And so that was funny. Like, whenever we got the cold comment, we just started saying, well, how cold is it here?
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Are you sure it is -15 outside? I don't know. That's pretty cold in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So, my family, they're like, heck yeah. All my family kind of has ran away from Washington over the years. I grew up on 100 acres on a river and up in the North Cascades. We grew up without electricity, running water, and that was like the best childhood ever, to have that amount of freedom and fishing and going grouse hunting and all the things you want to do as as a young boy. But all my cousins moved to Eastern Washington 10 years ago. Now they're planning on moving to Sandpoint, Idaho. My uncle will follow. My own sister doesn't live in Washington. So I don't have much of a family in Washington anymore. And a lot of it is just politics and freedom to do all the things.
Totally. Yeah.
And so I knew that would not be the best fit for our family long term. And, even California, right? Beautiful state. Steph's family's in California, but we knew that we wouldn't be fulfilled. The draw to Alaska for me is the amount of freedom that you get to do. And Alaska has to protect that. Yes, you can be, if you're not a contractor, a tradesman, and you drive down the road and you see houses without any siding on it, okay? Yeah, that's a problem. But at the same time, you got to appreciate that this land provides the freedom for somebody to build their own house and not put siding on it. So it's like this dichotomy, right?
It was interesting in Wisconsin. I think one of the cold was like number one comment is you guys must really like the cold. And then, why do you want to move there? And we're like expressing how much we love and appreciate nature and just that's a need in our lives. And it was, we have nature. And you hear that and you're like, you almost just can't say anything else when you hear that comment. It's like, you're just not going to get it. Unless you've been there, you've seen it, and you've lived in that, there's no way for me to explain that to you. And that's okay, But there is just, I have to laugh at myself because when I first came to Alaska, ignorance, pure ignorance, just like thought I was going to be running into Eskimos and like bears everywhere. And I pull up to Anchorage and I'm like, why is there a Walmart and a Taco Bell? This is not Alaska. Like, hang on a second.
Yeah, and
perception.
For a lot of people coming up here, I kind of have to like deconstruct that stereotype a little bit and go, okay, just picture small town in the Midwest with a great view, and that's gonna be most towns in Alaska,
right?
Try to demystify just a little bit.
Yeah,
totally.
So for you guys, what were some of the big challenges for y'all when you were moving up here? Dan, you kind of mentioned the all the planning and kind of went into it. Did you guys do the Alcan? Did you do the ferry? Like, what did you guys do?
Yeah, that was a process for sure. A lot of planning went into all of that. I would say, number one, preparing. I knew that I wanted us to be up here, and work would have to lead me up here, but it was the best thing for everybody. And so number one was getting Steph's buy-in. And so part of that whole process is like, let's go up there. Steph's got to be exposed to Alaska. She's got to be exposed to these communities, understand where she fits in, how she fits in. Can she develop a friend group? Can she have the freedom she needs? Can she continue her own self-care? What's going to matter to her is the beauty, all these things. So just like getting her up here, exposing her to different communities so she can picture herself living here. That was a big deal. So that was number one. Number two, I would say...
Thank you.
It's a complicated thing. Like, how are we going to move all our stuff? Listening to your podcast help, just understanding people's experiences in the past. And then, like, I've moved from Washington to Wisconsin, and the moving truck was $25,000.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I didn't have to pay for it, thank the Lord, but at the same time, that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so the next step, I don't know, 6 months before
Dude,
We
you were
moved-
all over the place.
Well, we started selling stuff.
Yes, selling things, but there were so many. You just don't know how it's going to all work out. And so you
Yeah.
have to consider everything and
Yeah.
all the possibilities of what if and can we and do
Yeah,
we and
yeah.
all these things. So, just brainstorming out loud and bouncing ideas back and forth
Yeah.
off of each other and being able to check each other on, well, that doesn't make sense, or, well, that sounds like a better idea than this. And, yeah. Do we take stuff? Do we not? Can we sell everything? Are we going to be able to find a Airbnb? Is that going to be affordable? Can we get a furnished finder? Things like that. So,
Yeah.
we just, I think before we even had a solid plan, we just started selling things.
Yeah. And we don't have
Hopefully the house sells quickly. And if it doesn't,
Yeah.
are we going to be in an empty house? I don't know.
and we don't have like a ton of stuff, but the boxes we needed to check. Okay. We need to get all of our personal items that we care about down to enough that'll fit into a 30-foot enclosed trailer. Okay. So that's check that box. 2, we've got to be in this house for a minimum of 2 years to avoid capital gains tax. And that was a big deal. So, okay, October of 2024, that's when that happened. And I was interviewing and coming up, just trying to get to know my industry and present myself ahead of time. And then everything kind of culminated. I'm like, what's going to pull that trailer? The Wagoneer's not going to pull that trailer. Okay, I'll sell a car that I have, and that'll pay for a truck and the trailer. What trailer do I need? Well, I need a trailer that's going to be double axle and 10,000 pounds, and what's going to resell well in Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
So thinking about that. What helped me with that is I went to an enclosed trailer place, and locally, and they're like, oh, dude, a snowmobiler from Alaska just bought that one over there in the yard. You should go check that out. I'm like, oh, sweet. So that's what he wanted. And his whole goal was to go to a snowmobile race in Michigan and resell it when he came back up because that was a desirable enclosed trailer. So I bought the same exact one.
Yeah. Buy the trailer, save the cost of a moving truck,
Yep.
sell it
Yep.
for more than we bought it for. Great.
Hopefully.
Awesome. Yeah. We're not there yet, but
Yeah. So, and then my job was deleted in January, which we're like, hey, I think this is God's sign. It's closing the door.
totally.
I think we should list the house. Are we ready for this? Let's just do it, man. So we started selling stuff. The house sold in 2 days.
Yeah.
The
Oh my gosh.
hot rod sold in
Craziest
5 days.
thing.
Like, okay, the doors are
Everything
opening.
lined up so
Opening,
perfectly.
opening.
And we were like seriously praying, like, if this is not what we're meant to do, if this is going to totally screw up the kids, don't let our house sell. And we had like, how many offers did we have the first day?
We had 8 offers. in
8
2
offers
days.
in 2 days. So it was like, okay, like we'd be stupid not to listen. This
Yeah.
is clearly all signs point go. So let's go.
Yeah.
I was so mad though. Dan was trying to figure out like, how do we get there? And I'm like, family road trip. Woohoo, let's go. I want to see all the animals. The Alcan's supposed to be sweet. Like
Yeah.
most epic trip ever. I just like down for the cause. Let's do it. And he's like, I don't think that's smart, Mr. Planner. So I ended up flying the kids. So I flew up with the kids, and Dan flew his cousin from Washington to Wisconsin. Thank God. And Ty helped us pack up the rest of the house, and they drove out, dropped us off at a hotel next to the airport,
Yep.
drove out that day, and
Yep.
took you about a week.
Yep. So the things with that, bought a 2019 F-250 truck. Needed something that was gonna be safe to tow a heavy enclosed trailer 3,500 miles across Canada, right? And it was like 0 degrees going through like Alberta area, central Canada.
Because what time of year was it when you were making the?
This was a month ago.
Drive? Oh, this was a month ago.
We've been here 1 month.
End of March, and then I got here, like the April 3rd or something. So, I have guns and stuff, so that was a thing. And first I went the route of, call up the, Canadian Royal Mounted Police or whatever, RCMP. What do I need to do? And it's doable. There's a process to fill out all the forms for guns and ammunition and all that stuff. And I was like, well, I'll call the FFL dealer locally. Maybe they can transfer. They said, yeah, we can do that. It's like $80 per gun, and then you got to pay the shipping. So that was going to be probably $1,000. For whatever reason, I wasn't thinking about it at the time. The FFL dealer's like, is somebody flying on the plane? Like, yeah. Just put them in a hard case with locks, and they'll take it. Sweet. So Steph, she had a long gun carrier, a pistol carrier, 3 luggage things.
4 kids. And a partridge in a pear tree.
Yeah.
Steph looks like she's about to be a problem wherever she's going.
I'm like, hi, help me. What do I do? Where do I go? Is there ammo? No, I don't think. I like that.
I don't know. Here's the key to open it. And so for me, I didn't know, I haven't had to fly with guns ever. So it was a new process for me. And I'm like, hopefully it works out because Ty and I are driving and the house is sold and like we're committed at this point.
The ships are burnt.
Without a doubt. There's no going back. But the process went just fine for you.
It was fine. Yeah, everything went very smoothly, actually. Totally.
So that was easy. That was good.
Well, and then you also, like, all the different things you have to consider getting across the border, right? So, like, the guns, and then we have a dog, and we have a cat, and so it's, like, making sure they have all their immunizations, all their paperwork.
Yeah.
Ty having to get his passport in time, you having to get your everything was so rushed, and...
Yep.
Thankfully got here on time.
Yeah.
It was pretty wild. It was exciting. It was funny, just backing up a little, that it was 0 degrees because in Wisconsin it had started warming up. Like, we didn't have as extreme of a winter this year. And so neither of us had really even considered just how cold it would be. So Dan called me and he's like, we didn't sleep at all. It was 0 degrees. The propane... Okay, I thought the best part was the trailer we got. So, okay, what can we fit in a 30-foot trailer? I don't know. I do not know. We had no idea until, like, the people that bought our house showed up, and we're still putting stuff in the trailer, hoping it's going to fit, right? But Dan built, like, a little man cave in the trailer, put up a wall where it was, what do you call that?
The Vinos.
Yeah. So built up a wall, 2 cots in there for him and Ty to save money on hotel, whatever, right? And then get a heater in there. So the propane tank and the heater was freezing, and they were 0 degrees. I just didn't think that they would be hitting that kind of cold on the drive up, which was wild. So the cat was in Dan's sleeping bag. The dog's under the cots.
Yeah.
Just like, so funny.
Sounds like that can turn into the Revenant pretty quick out there.
Right.
Yeah. So that was a really good way of saving money. When you're just thinking about how do I get from the lower 48 to Alaska. I bought a little bigger of a trailer than I thought we needed. Built a little cabin inside there, which was a simple plywood wall, just a barrier that I could like latch the safe to, latch my toolbox to, like ratchet strap. And then on the other side of that, a couple coolers, a couple cots. Cots were like $100 each.
He hung the deer mounts.
Yeah.
So it was like a proper man cave.
And it was cozy. Good for that. Like they stayed on the whole time. And so we didn't have any lodging cost.
You did stay. You ended up one night, right?
Yeah, I had a carrier bearing starting to go out in the truck. in Canada. So there's a vibration that was new. So I pulled into a Ford dealer. They were able to get that part within a day. So that night we got a hotel, able to take a nice shower, have a good meal. But that was a way to save cost on the whole trip. I kept track of all the gas cost. I still haven't totaled it, but I think we're around $4,000 in fuel. And so my whole strategy is I should be able to sell the trailer and recoup my gas money and lodging costs back, which at the end, that makes the whole trip a wash financially. We did take the Alcan, but we detoured. We went across Alberta through Edmonton into the mountains. Oh, can't remember that town. It's kind of above Montana in the mountains. And then we came up through British Columbia just because it's a beautiful drive. However, we talk about the frost heaves on the Alcan between like Whitehorse and Alaska. We experienced those for about 200 miles in northern BC before we teed into the Alcan.
Yeah.
And it was rough.
What is it? What'd you call it?
They're frost heaves, those huge, it's just the
Swells
road
in the
up and down.
Okay.
It is, imagine like the bunny hills at the slope, but just you're driving across that.
Yeah.
That's hundreds of miles. And, people talk about the speed limit being like, I think it's like 55. And they're like, that's so slow. It's like, you're going to be happy if you can go 55.
Yeah, it's true. It is true. And that's why I bought a brand new trailer, and that's why I bought a truck that was darn pretty new, had everything serviced, differential, everything done. I wanted reliability. I also had a welder, 2 generators, and tools easily accessible in case I blew a wheel bearing out or whatever. Didn't have any mechanical problems except for that carrier bearing, and that wasn't a big deal. But it is surprising how the roads are. And like in the Midwest, the freeways are concrete panels. They get replaced, I'm going to say somewhat regularly. It seems like every 5 to 10 years, just because that thawing and cooling
Salt
and all that.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard on it. But once you start getting out of the city and you're more remote, no. I mean, you're going to be, they try to warn you about the frosties. They put these little red, warning signs off to the right. But when you have a full-size diesel truck with towing a 10,000-pound trailer, you can't just stop and slow down right away. So there's a few times where I'm cruising at 50 to 70 miles an hour, and I was on the brakes a lot. And yeah, remember one circumstance where there wasn't a warning, and here's the cat flying around the truck, and I'm like, holy smokes, we're gonna crash this thing.
It's like that just felt expensive.
Yeah, it's please don't break it. But yeah, it took a lot of time.
How long did it take you driving to get through the Alcan?
I feel like you arrived on the 7th or something for some reason. Didn't it take you a solid week? Was it 6 days?
I think it was 7 days. And one of those days was a low mileage day because we had an overnight.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we were doing on average 8 to 10 hours a day driving. Yeah.
Outstanding. So do you have any tips, tricks for people who are looking at driving the Alcan?
Don't push it. I think give yourself time. I had 2 cans of diesel, 2 cans of gasoline in the bed of the truck just in case. I had I made a recovery kit with tow strap, snatch blocks, come along stuff, just in case we got in a situation where we could either help somebody on the side of the road or if one of our own vehicles had a issue. And we honestly didn't need any of that. I think it was just that we lucked out as far as weather.
Yeah. Being over-prepared was good, though.
Yeah, being over-prepared was good.
A little concern I had, and I was anxious to see if I just didn't know how getting through the border would be.
Yeah.
'Cause I've heard people say, like, prepare to be stuck there for a few hours, if they're going through all your stuff, and we have this 30-foot trailer packed to the gills. Like, I didn't know if that would have taken forever.
Yeah. Yes.
Thankfully, that wasn't a problem.
I bought a
Kinda lucked
pocket
out.
knife and disclosed that I had a pocket knife. The border guard said, those aren't allowed in Canada. And he gave it back to me and said, just hang on to it. I was like, okay. And then he asked me if I had ammunition. I said, yes. He said, that's not allowed in Canada, but I'm not going to have you tear apart your trailer. It's like, dude, it's buried. I still can't find the lock to my safe. The electric lock, like, we have to unpack everything to find that to even open the safe. So even if we got to the safe, I'm like, dude, I don't know what you're going to do with that. So yeah, I just give yourself whatever time you think it's going to take, give yourself 2 more days. Be creative on your sleeping situation. We didn't have a problem getting gas or finding a gas station at all on the route that we took. But I think it's smart to have a gas can. Self-service. There are parts without self-service. Ty and I did have 2A radios. We did use those, which was really nice when you have 2 cars and 2 different people. Say that's about it. Paid for everything with credit card, so I could keep track of it all. Get your exchange rate. And one thing was interesting when we went to Costco. Costco didn't accept Visa
Oh, that's right.
Really? In
Yeah.
Canada?
at the one we went to. I
Weird.
can't remember the town, to be honest with you. But I was like, dude, let's go get a $1.50 hot dog. Sounds great. And no. It's like, okay, how about debit card? No. I can't remember. It was like I can't remember. I remember like in America, American Express was the card that was only taking forever. And then they said no at Costco and then went to Visa. But Canada was a special thing. And so we couldn't get any hot dogs that day. But yeah, that was about it. The other interesting thing is every time we stopped for dinner, and if we were at like a pub and we're sitting at the bar, everybody's asking me about politics and trade tariffs and how
Yeah.
do you feel about that? And so those are interesting conversations.
It's like, yeah, what does that conversation look like? Yeah, I am all for the tariffs just because I want to cause you personally as much harm as possible.
Right.
Like, how does that, that really is the thing when you're traveling abroad, though. You immediately become the spokesperson for your country for whatever is being discussed. So, yeah, maybe just something to keep in mind. For those of you who are going to be traveling through Canada in the near future, just have your talking points locked and loaded and ready to go because you're going to have to pull on them, I'm sure.
Yeah. And I think I bought a few beers for Canadians on my trip.
Just making
So-
friends.
That was good. People were nice. Yeah.
Outstanding. So you guys are here now, and just kind of getting situated, moving in, got a living kind of squared away in Palmer at the moment.
Yeah.
How are you guys settling into like the schools, churches, like all that? Like, how are you guys settling in so far?
I'll go first.
Sure. We have wasted no time. We, as focused as we have been before moving to Alaska on making sure that this is the right choice, making sure we're picking the right spot. We signed the boys up for soccer right away. We've been dating churches, going to a different one every weekend. The kids got into school right away, and I signed our family up for the Grizzly Fitness Center in Palmer. So big gym, kid classes at the same time. There's group fitness classes for the adults and stuff. So that's pretty sweet. The girls started gymnastics. So really just trying to get them into activities and implement it into the community as quickly as possible. It's funny because I'm outgoing and I love people, but I also just want to like settle in and get the family settled before I'm worried about making friends and all these things. And Dan is so sweet. He always just tries to encourage, like, meet this person. They have similar interests. Go meet this person. Go. And I'm like, I'm not ready. I don't even know where my shoes are. Like, I want to find my stuff and just feel settled in my home before I'm worried about anything outside. Because to me, I have so much to do to settle in and get everyone okay that, like, I don't have the energy to pour into someone else right now. Give me a second. Yeah. But it's kind of just very naturally and comfortably been like, hey, come over. Hey, we're doing this. There's a group church. Bible study thing, whatever. Come on by. And that's been really nice. That's been really, really nice just how authentic and genuine people seem to be. And everyone, mostly in our experience so far, just wants to see you win. And you meet people and they're like, oh, have you thought of this? Have you found a connection for this? You got to go to this place. And it's been so great. Dan came up here came up on a trip for a job interview, something before we moved out here, and met an older couple here in Eagle River at the Matanuska Brewing, whatever. Yeah. And they had us over for lunch and we went on a walk with them. And she's been, Lucy, so stinking sweet, is like, how can we help you? Is there anyone we know that we could connect you with? And, we went to church one day on Easter and what do we do today for Easter with the kids? Is there anything going on in town? And they're like, well, not really, but we're having a potluck, just impromptu, whatever, come on by. And just having the invite has been so nice because that was not our experience in Wisconsin. We felt like outsiders that could not break in. And especially in Palmer, it is a small town and there are a lot of locals. And I wasn't expecting that. I thought that we'd be meeting a ton of transplants, and I've been pleasantly surprised by how many locals are there. And I asked the question, is it annoying that all these people are moving here? Does that make you mad? And the response that I got that I loved was, as long as people love being here and they see what we see, it's this gal told me it was like reassurance for her that, like, yeah, this place is awesome. Alaska is special, and it's a reminder to her of how much she loves it. But it's when people move here and complain about it and that they're like, then leave.
Yeah, it's the group that shows up and they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna fix this place right up. Like that's the group you got to be worried about.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So it's been awesome. Last weekend we were invited to a Bible group. What do you call it?
Oh, yeah.
Whatever. And we didn't even do like a Bible study day. It was just get your families together. We did a game night, super easy, like nacho dinner potluck thing. And it doesn't feel like we have to impress anyone. Like, come as you are. Who are you? What are you doing here? Do you want to come learn how to forage mushrooms? Hell yeah. Like, just cool and easy. And
yeah, I described it as I've felt immediately content showing up, being here. And I think that's just because of the authentic community that we get to see mountains, even if I've only gone on one hike, but dang it, I can see that mountain right there. And I can't wait till summertime and we get to experience that. And just knowing that the opportunity is available. And so for me, not having a solid friend group and community has been tough for Steph and I. And coming up here, it's been very inclusive. Like I got invited to, hey, we do a men's get together. It's not even like Christian-y at all. But we eat steak, have cigars and a few drinks around the fire, and these are just good dudes. You're like, great. And then you go and you're like, oh man, these dudes are in my age group, and these are men that are either they have a family or they don't, but they're doing something with their life. Like 5 of the 8 people are business owners. A couple are investors. A couple guys are, maybe not to that level yet in their life, but it's just a good mix of good people that want to do things together. So that was great. And it's refreshing to have the authenticity. It's refreshing that people don't care about the superficial.
The kids have been doing really well with it too. We've been going out and about, and it seems everywhere we go, they're like, oh, I know that kid. I made that friend over there. So that's been really cool to see that they're instantly making connections, and kids are receptive to them and welcoming of them. And that's been really good to see. And, pat on our part for just shoving them into things and getting stuff going and trying to set up play dates quickly and sports and whatever we can do to get them in there right away.
Right. Just trying to be as intentional and I'll say intense to a certain degree too,
sure,
to just get it done as quickly as possible. I think that's great.
Wasted no time. We don't want to leave too much room for them to I don't have any friends, and I had friends in Wisconsin, but now I don't here. No, we're not doing that. Here we go.
Yeah, because as soon as that starts, it's just a really quick spiral to the bottom.
Sure.
So once they've decided this is bad.
Yeah.
Just from having been a child once myself.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's easy to kind of spiral into that. So our 11-year-old had a little babysitting gig, and this is the coolest thing to me is when we were in the Midwest, the kids are playing inside a lot and too much screen time some days. And, our generation, we played outside from sun up to sundown, come home when the street lights come on, right? And it's just different nowadays, and seeing that, and how many kids have cell phones and tablets and all these distractions that we're put it down, go play in the trees, go I've said so many times when we were in Wisconsin, I feel like our kids are broken. We live on 4 acres and we send them outside, and that would be my dream as a kid. Are you kidding me? And they're like, there's nothing to do out here. I'm bored. And I'm like, well, then you're boring. So I'd take them outside and give them a little walk around the yard and make up whatever story. And, let's go over here, and, look, a bear track, just making things up and trying to make it cool. Okay, now you guys take it. Now you do something with it. And since we've come here, through not even our own doing, they're wanting to play outside. And they're going out there and they're sword fighting with sticks and rolling down hills and just wanting or more inclined to be outside.
Yeah. Where we lived, there's a park maybe 2 blocks away. So the kids do ask, they want to go to the park. I did take them. So last Saturday, there's ways to plug in, which is really great. In Palmer, there's the Matanuska Trail Association, a podcast that I've been listening to, which I enjoy, is the Alaska Wild podcast. It's a lot about hunting, conservation. It's not really kid friendly, but it is a great way to kind of learn more about Alaska and the area and the different parts, hunting, fishing, conservation, outdoor, hiking. I got this coffee from Blondie's, and they interviewed the owner of Blondie's, 3 months ago. And so I went to that park association, and there was a trail cleanup day. So I took the kids on Saturday to, what was that?
Crevasse Moraine
trailhead. And we picked up trash. The kids were running. It was like 3 hours. It's totally good. Outside nature, easy, picking up garbage, walking and hiking. That was part of our day. What a great thing.
Yeah.
And there was other volunteers, got to meet a small business owner, a woman that does like, hey, we do monthly women get together hiking trips. So obviously, Steph, guess what? You got to connect with this lady.
Yeah.
Right? So there's opportunity to do things to connect. And when locals have asked me, well, what brings you to Alaska? I think a lot of the locals that ask that question are used to hearing, well, I'm in the military, or I'm here, I work on the North Slope, or whatever, right? And for us, we're like, we just want to be here. I'm in the refrigeration heating industry, but we want to be here.
Yeah.
They're like, awesome. That's like the best answer we can give. So that's been going really well. The housing was tricky. Like when your house sells in 2 days and you got 3 weeks to kind of move out.
That's sink or swim quick. Yeah.
Yeah. And you got 4 kids in tow. You're a family of 6. That's a lot to organize in a hurry, but we were kind of pre-gaming that ahead of time. And
Thankfully, we didn't have a ton. Like moving from Washington to the Midwest, we did already kind of purge. We were only there for 3 years, so
yeah.
it wasn't too overwhelming.
Yeah. But finding housing here was challenging where
Yeah.
we looked at an Airbnb, VRBO, furnished finder. We wanted a furnished home because we didn't want to unpack all of our stuff. We didn't want to bring anything that we couldn't replace. So we got a Airbnb in Chugiak. Still put the kids in Palmer School District because we didn't want to move them from school district to school district. But I was not happy with that rental, but it was all that was available. It was kind of online. It seemed fine. And it was fine, but I had to pay $4,000 for 3 weeks of house rental
Yeah.
in a 2-bedroom house.
Oof.
Yeah.
Brutal.
And that was because we originally signed it. You're just trying to get whatever housing you can. And so it was available for 2 months. I was like, I'll take it. And then a furnished finder came up in Palmer that took a dog. That was a 3-bedroom. All the kids could sleep, like had everything we needed. And it was in the school district. So
And things go so
Get that.
quickly. Like you have to act now because they go so quickly, especially
Yeah.
getting closer to summer and people come just for the summer. So it's like, go now, act
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah, well, I mean, I speaking from the landlord perspective, I've got a 4-plex. I put a unit up, and within a couple of days, like, just got
Yeah.
inundated with people, and I was like, man, this is a lot more action than I'm used to seeing. But pull it up on the MLS, looked at it, I was like, oh, that is literally the only apartment available for rent in all of Eagle River right now. So, yeah, it's competition is like fast.
Yeah, you gotta stay
intense.
proactive for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Did you guys have like, I don't know, get to the point where you kind of just had all your, all the information you knew the landlords were going to be asking for just locked and ready to go? Because
yeah, I'm still not getting like a W-2 income right now. So that's a challenge. And I also don't have any rental history because I've been a homeowner.
yeah,
So that's 2 checks against you on a rental application. So in order to combat that, I'm like, here's how much cash I have on hand. Here's my bank statements. Also, here's how much investing cash I have available if I had to. And I've printed out my credit score, and I'll do a background check because you've got to come in with your A game. And for us, without, Steph got a job at the ale house, which is great, but I'm the primary breadwinner. And so the house sale and saving has put us in a financial position to be very strong to a landlord where they go, okay, this family could just prepay the rent for 2 years right now, and it's a safe bet. They have zero criminal history, zero issues on a background check, and they have an excellent credit score. So that is what I've had to do to put our best forward to securing housing. There was more housing available from a purchase standpoint than rentals.
Mm-hmm.
But there again, right? How are you going to get a loan without W-2 income? It's kind of tough. So every opportunity where, there's something for rent, I've emailed, checked in. Facebook Marketplace, that's where we found our current rental. We were able to sign a 1-year lease with the month after that. And that was direct to a homeowner. So we've been fortunate, but we've had to be very diligent and very intentional on that. I think that, man, the other thing was just the time of year. I think if we waited another month, like be looking for a rental in June or in the heat of in summer,
we'd be in a tent.
Darn near impossible. We were considering, I was like, babe, maybe we just buy a stinking camper.
Yeah.
And we just have short-term rental until the kids get out of school. And we just camp, fish, and hike all summer in a camper and then figure out buying a house next fall.
Yeah.
So, but here we are. We were able to get housing and solid, and we're thankful for it. But
yeah. I mean, I think that's probably the best case scenario you guys can have at the moment. I mean, once you get that W-2 in there, I mean, you're going to see a lot of options kind of open up there. And, that, and you start actually developing connections within the community, you might actually be able to start finding, if you do decide to rent in the future, again, like at the end of the lease, you might be able to find something before it even hits the market.
Right. Hopefully.
So, yeah. All right. Well, we are at the part of the interview where I ask you, what are the pros and the cons of living in Alaska? So for you guys, what would you say the pros and the cons are so far?
Great question.
I would say pros, just an authentic community.
For sure.
Inclusive community that then you hear about that. People in Alaska do have open arms. The example that Steph gave earlier of Lucy and Lowell that I met at the Matanuska Brewery, that was literally like 3 months before we moved up. And I'm just talking to them. They're like, yeah, I'm a retired teacher. We live in Chugiak. Let's exchange numbers. And Lucy reached out. How's it going? Like 3 weeks later. When you guys come up, we'd love to have your family over for dinner. So that wasn't me reaching out from, that was in Alaska. That was Lucy reaching out, being very inviting and inclusive. And that's kind of a representation of most people that we've experienced. Huge positive to have that. The beauty, it's unless you come up here to experience it, you just don't know. You don't know what it's like. And it's irreplaceable. And I think it's amazing that Alaska has so many different parts where you have an amazing rainforest. And then you have not a rainforest. And then you have the ocean and you have fjords. Like there's a lot to experience in this state. I love the freedom of opportunity here. I'm in the process of opening my own business. I was able to get an LLC, my EIN number. I was able to do it at no cost through the Small Business Development Council. They walked me through all of that, and they're like, hey, here's the person you talk to for insurance bond, and they'll help you fill out the paperwork to get licensed through the state. That's very entrepreneur friendly and not a lot of roadblocks there. And they help you through that. So that's great. I would say I am adjusting to getting to bed on time right now.
Yeah,
that
for
is,
sure.
We had a very good routine of getting to bed 9:30. But with the daylight going so late and we're still not even in the peak of summer, we have to be disciplined about that. So I've had lack of sleep multiple times. One, it's a pro and a con when it comes to work. So I'm a heating and refrigeration guy. There's nobody available to work as a service tech through the local union. I have been doing this for 21 years, fully certified, and have operational business and sales experience in a robust way. Working for like billion-dollar companies in the lower 48, consulting through multiple states. A very good, well-rounded thing. I've kept all of my credentials up to par. Even though, so trying to get hired on out of state, employers don't want to do that because they get so many people saying, hey, I'm moving up to Alaska and I want to go fishing, hunting, and all this stuff. Would you hire me right now? And I move up? No, because so many people don't follow through and move up. So employers are very standoffish. They'll talk to you, but they're not going to commit to you until you come up. Even when you come up, if you are kind of like a specialized craft or you have a well-established resume, you're still not in yet. And so I've experienced, even though I've flown up multiple times, had dinner with owners, they're like, I don't know yet. And so you have to, but once you get into the community, into the workforce and get to know the players and get to know the people, then you are in. So that it's good in a way that once you get established, you're going to be able to network well. You're going to be able to do business development well, know everybody well, but it is hard to get in. And I think that's just because people are so used to the transitory climate of folks around here. People live here for a couple of years and leave or whatever.
Right. And as a business owner, I mean, really once you get to like year 2, 3, that's when you actually start seeing ROI for all the time and energy you've put into hiring that person.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I get it. Doesn't make it easier, like if you're trying to move up here, but I mean, I do get it from the employer standpoint.
Yeah.
But you, Steph, what you got?
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm missing anything. I mean, I'm trying to sit here like thinking of cons and it's hard to say that there's true cons because maybe I'm just very adaptable. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm missing anything. I'm not like, oh, I really wish there was XYZ. I'm still looking for a really good taco spot, but we did find some tamales that were bomb.com. I just have, aside from everything mentioned already, I think that just having the opportunity to slow down, to learn more skills of like being outside and foraging and just all of that is everything that I want and desire, and being able to work but not being in the hustle, like I gotta work, gotta hustle, gotta do all these things. Like we're able to just like, we're gonna work and we want to succeed and work hard, but we really just want to enjoy our family time and bask in this beautiful little family bubble that we've created as a blended family and support our children and see that everyone's doing well, and constant temperature checking just seems easy. Everything is slowed down and become very laser focused, and we're able to just really tune into each other. And I don't know what that is.
Grounded.
But everything, we just feel for sure a lot more grounded, which is funny because like everything else does not seem like we've been grounded. We've we're now going to be, moving for the third time in like a little over a month. So, but we know what we're doing and we know what we want. We know what we're after, and we have been so well accepted so far that everything just feels right, Anchorage feels kind of far away being in the valley. So if there's something that we're like, oh, we got to go into Anchorage to go get, I don't really want to, but we don't need to. So Palmer is cool because we have Wasilla right there, which has a lot more too. So we're able to slow down, and it's not quite the forest that we want to be in, but we still have good hikes and water and getting to like awesome rainforest and ocean is not so far away that we can't just go over there. So even though we haven't checked all the boxes, in a way it feels like all of our boxes are checked, and the opportunity to, well, maybe we get a cabin over in one of those places that we're able to, venture over to and have a weekend or whatever it is. It just really feels like the world is our oyster, and slowing down and still being able to work towards big things and creating a legacy for our family is everything. So I don't have like a solid list of cons other than we were escaping the Midwest to come to a bunch of Midwesterners in Alaska, which is not what we were expecting. We're like, oh, like Minnesotans founded Palmer. Didn't know that till we got here. Great.
A lot is going to feel kind of familiar once you get here, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, I get wanting to keep things small and protecting how many cruise ships come into certain places and tourists and all these things, but people that want to be here, and that's a beautiful thing, and they'll stay if they love it, and maybe it does take a certain kind of person to stay here, and to me, I don't feel like a certain kind of person. I love it here. I want nature, man, and here it is. Here we are, and seeing our kids, in my eyes, already succeeding, making connections, doing well in school, having anything that they need, and playing outside, and wanting to be outside and enjoying being outside, and collecting rocks and being interested in the glaciers and all the different things that there are to learn about here is so cool. I do still worry about just wildlife safety, and moose and bears, and just becoming more familiar with that sort of thing is, of course, like on my mind. But you can't let it scare you and control you in a way that I'm like, just sing. We're in the forest, so we're going to sing. Like, whatever.
Yeah, and that's about the most you can do. And, that's the list of cons that could possibly be there, that's doing pretty good.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
I think winter will be different, but coming from Washington State and knowing what dark winters look like, knowing that we got to take vitamin D supplements in the wintertime. There's even less light up here, but I'm already planning on, okay, what are we going to do in the winter? Outside.
Yeah. Yes.
That's going to get us through it. Playing in a men's league basketball. Okay. Getting the kids involved in sports during the winter. Something that's going to drive our family to be doing stuff. But these are just all opportunities. I don't even know if they're cons. It's like
you just adapt, right? Yeah. When I moved to Washington State, being from California, when it rains, it's like, yay, movie day, snuggle in. But I'm not someone who likes to sit still. So in Washington, I'm like, okay, movie day, yay. Wait, now it's day 3. So I learned very quickly, when it's raining, I'm going to go outside and go on a hike. And so it'll be the same here, just like it was in the Midwest is, yes, it's cold, but get a good jacket and call it a day,
Right.
Like start shoveling snow and you'll warm up pretty quick. So just learning all of the different outdoor things that we can still do. And people have asked us, oh, do you ski? And we're like, not yet. But you just do it and you adapt and enjoy it, find ways to stay busy and active. Thankfully, my family is in California, so going and getting a vitamin D fix there and visiting them and just, I'm not scared of it in any way. And the light, for sure. I mean, we're not even in the deep of summer yet, and it's still like light out at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So that even with the blackout curtains, you're like, oh, but I just want to stay up and do things. And, so it's an adjustment, but no cons. Nothing feels like, oh, shoot, is this going to work?
Yeah. Outstanding. Well, guys, I really appreciate you coming in, kind of sharing your perspective and, what it's been like living up here for y'all so far. And we also do have the meetup groups we'll do once a month. This month in May, we're actually going to go hike along the Clutna Lake.
Cool.
I was looking at hiking up like Pepper Peak, but that's like 8.5 miles with 4,500 feet of elevation. I don't think a lot of people are going to want to do that. So we're going to keep it simple and just hike along the edge of the lake. So I'll have my people talk with your people, and we'll get you the details for that.
Sweet.
Everyone else, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.